right, we got more people coming in. I'm glad with StreamYard it automatically records because there have been so many times we've done presentations and it did not, so that's great. All right, so it just takes that off my plate. Looks like we got people coming in. Hello, everybody. I'm super duper excited for today. This has probably been our most popular webinar to date when it comes to registrations, and I'm giving the presentation today, so hopefully it's good. We'll see. Just want to do quick introductions as to who we are, what this is, and then we'll get right into the content. So this is a joint venture between multiple IT providers around the country, all of which are on the call today. We like to do ongoing training for our clients in the community around specific things that impact their day. We promote technology, we support technology, but we also want to teach you how to use technology correctly. And CoPilot is obviously very trendy, and as you'll see, actually super valuable in the day-to-day. So we can go ahead and get going. Just real quick, anybody, Shane, you want to give a little intro, and then we'll move to Joe, Aaron, Mike, and Gary before we get going?
Yeah, we're out of the Dallas-Fort Worth market, Data Magic. I'm sure a lot of our clients have registered for this webinar, so how's everybody going? Appreciate this content, you putting it together, Taher. This is a great topic. I get asked about it all the time. So ready to get this thing out there and let people know what Microsoft is doing next.
Awesome.
Well, hi, I'm Joe Young, the CEO of our Global Data Systems. We're a 100% remote company. We have focus in healthcare. We have our geographical reaches in the Northeast, up in the Boston area, and also in Southwest in the Las Vegas area. And like Shane just said, looking forward to hearing about CoPilot. I've used it a little bit, and it is seriously a game changer. So looking forward to seeing what else I can learn here.
I'm Aaron Fox with Global Quest Solutions out of Buffalo, New York. And yeah, we're our customers know we're IT company that specializes in small to medium businesses, the Buffalo marketplace, Western New York. We're excited to see what Taher is going to bring to the table today to talk about CoPilot. It's starting to roll out to people slowly, so I think there's a lot of interest in it, and it'll be good to see what you have to say. Taher, I think you're going to have to skip over Mike. He's having audio problems at the moment.
Good excuse, Mike. All right, cool. Gary, you want to say anything before we get going? Awesome. Thanks, Gary. All right, cool.
Sorry, bud. I just walked away.
I'm just joking.
No, I think Shane hit it perfectly. Yeah, this is a great topic, and I've been looking forward to it all week. So, and I think the attendance was, like you said, Taher, probably the best that we've had. So.
Awesome. Yeah, no pressure on me. We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and kick everybody out. So I'll be the main person on screen. And then we'll bring everybody out at the end. So let's just dive right in. Appreciate you guys. And we'll start covering the content. All right. So just want to give a quick overview of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to do a high-level overview of what is Microsoft Copilot, what is the purpose of it, how do you even implement Microsoft Copilot. Then we're going to be getting super specific into practical applications of the main applications you use on a daily basis: Outlook, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, Microsoft Copilot spans more than that, including Teams and SharePoint and everything else. But for the sake of an overview presentation on Microsoft Copilot, I really don't want to overwhelm you. I'd rather show you what Copilot can do on the applications you use every day, and you can kind of extrapolate from there on how you can use it in your daily workflow as well as other applications. So to start off, I was kind of panicking on creating this presentation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about Copilot. Like, what am I going to do? So what I decided to do is actually jump into Word. So I'm going to share my screen now. And I asked Copilot to help me with an outline for a presentation. I was like, hey, Copilot, I really need help with creating a presentation. And sure enough, it created a really nice presentation, or at least it provided really nice paint on canvas for me to start working from. And what's cool is, again, I'm kind of skipping the gun here, but when you get into Word, if you do anything, you can just do Alt-I, and it'll show your CoPilot prompt. So when you have CoPilot within Microsoft 365, you now have this little assistant with everything you're doing. And I know it's like, okay, cool, but what's the practical applications? We're going to get into that. But like, I was like, hey, CoPilot, I need help writing a simple outline for a Microsoft Copilot webinar I'm giving this week. The individuals are not programmers or developers. They want to learn practical uses of Microsoft Copilot for their daily work lives. And while this is generating, because that's one thing about Copilot, it takes a little bit to generate, I want to kind of go over what is Copilot. So again, this is ugly right now because it's just a Word document, but the reason is because I'm going to show you how to turn this into a really cool looking PowerPoint here in a second. So what is Microsoft Copilot? It's basically Microsoft's incorporation of ChatGPT 4 into Microsoft 365. Think of it like a virtual assistant with every Microsoft application you have. It's kind of like Clippy. Remember Clippy, but on steroids. Like that's Copilot. And it's an add-on to Microsoft 365. So if you have a business standard, business premium, license, or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm already in this all day, I want to add this little Copilot button on all of my applications. And then we might say, okay, well, if it's just if it's just like a ChatGPT wrapper, why wouldn't I just go to ChatGPT 4 over, purchasing this, potentially $400 or $500 tool on Microsoft 365? And the best way to describe that is ChatGPT is excellent to answer your questions and giving good data, but Copilot works with you rather than just providing answers that you have to copy and paste places. It's ChatGPT with you as you work. And I know that's ambiguous at the moment, but let me just show you exactly what that means. And real quick, let's go back to that outline. So Microsoft Copilot has now helped me with providing a Microsoft Copilot guide for non-programmers. It's provided an introduction, what should I cover, the Copilot features and functions, Copilot tips and tricks, and a conclusion. So this is a really nice paint on canvas Word document that would have taken me really some serious time to write down. And now all I have to do is go in and put points for each of these, and my presentation is ready to go. So what would have been 4 hours of preparation for this webinar is now 2 hours of fine-tuning it and tweaking it. So Copilot is not going to replace your job, but is absolutely going to help things happen faster. All right, cool. So as we get going, I hope everyone's still with me. Let me check. All right, cool. No one's dropped off yet. That's good. So as we get going, I want to just go over some general thoughts about Microsoft Copilot before we dive right into the practical applications. So the general thoughts so far, and I wanted to start here just to set expectations as we go. It's actually pretty helpful. There are so many tools and AI hype out there right now that it's easy to go, okay, is this just like a fluff thing? And after using it this week, as I was preparing for this webinar, I'm not going to not use it anymore. Like, I forgot my camera's here. I'm not going to not use it anymore. Like, it's actually super helpful. And again, we're going to show you how, but that's great because there's been so many AI tools that are out there and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you try it and it's like, it actually makes things more cumbersome. It gives you a 50% product. You got to spend just as much time getting it ready to go. I'd rather just do it myself. But in this case, as you'll see, it's actually very good. Next up is hallucinations are definitely still a thing. And what do I mean by that? If you use ChatGPT in any form or fashion in the past, you know that it will answer questions super confidently, but sometimes be completely wrong. AI currently, and ChatGPT is not discluded from this, if that's a word, it will answer no matter what. Even if it doesn't know the answer, it will answer something. And so that's where these hallucinations come in. So you do have to kind of take things with a grain of salt. Like if you're asking for a bunch of data and it spits out a bunch of really enticing, cool stuff, you do kind of have to fact check Microsoft Copilot, just like you have to fact check ChatGPT. So just keep that in mind. If you've used AI in any way in the past, or these large language models, you know that's already a thing. If this is your first time diving into it, just know that's a thing. It's going to answer everything, and sometimes it's a little off. Still worth doing it. The best way to think about these tools, especially Copilot, is basically paint on canvas. It's very rarely going to give you a final product that you're like, cool, ship it. But it is going to give you amazing paint on canvas. It's going to eliminate that writer block that we find ourselves all the time in, which is why we procrastinate sometimes. Getting something on paper really gets you going. And so that's where this is perfect at. It's slow to load. As you can see, like when we were doing this, I had to go and do something else, right? Because I didn't want you guys staring at this loading and thinking stage. And that's fine, because we can all multitask and do other things while Copilot is working. So that's another consideration. It will teach you how to better use it, which I think is super cool. As I was going through and preparing this, it actually showed me what it thought would be helpful while I was working. So we'll show you that. And I think the last caveat is it's kind of like an intern. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's not like hiring a full-time assistant. It's not like hiring a full-time employee. It's a lot like having an intern that just helps you with your work. That's a good way to kind of phrase it as we get moving. All right. So the first thing we're going to cover, and why this has been a really ugly little Word document here, is we're going to cover PowerPoint. And how I thought it'd be cool to start that is actually this file is called Updated Copilot Webinar. So let's jump into PowerPoint real quick, and I will show you one super cool function of Copilot. Okay, have I lost anyone yet? Are you still with me? Can you just chat me some encouragement if you're still with me and this is interesting, or tell me to move on or something? I don't know. All right. Hey, Desiree, thanks. I'm glad you're in the house, and I'm glad you're excited for the webinar. Hopefully this has been helpful so far. All right, moving on. We are going to, okay, so far so good. We're here, very interested. All right, awesome. Okay, thanks everyone. Wow, really appreciate it. Okay. Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. Perfect. All right. All right, moving on. So if y'all like that, this is where it gets real cool. All right, so let's present. We're going to cover PowerPoint. All right, so we've now opened. This is a scene that all of us on this call have seen hundreds of times before. And what do we normally do? We just type a title. Before we even do any brainstorming on a webinar, we type a title and we say it was made by me. That's like that's like the thing. But now what's amazing is, like I mentioned, you're going to have this little Copilot button here on all of your applications, and you get to click it. And again, it's going to give you suggestions, which is what I meant when it says it kind of teaches you. It's going to say, hey, do you want to create a presentation from file? And I'm in here like, that's exactly what I was hoping to do. And so you can just click here. It's going to give you some recommendations. And sure enough, since this is the one I was recently working on, it makes that as a suggestion. So I don't even need to go find it. I don't need to copy a link. It's just right here. So I'm going to say, yeah, I do want to create a presentation from this Word document here. Let's go. And again, like always, it's going to take a good 30 seconds to 60 seconds. It's going to happen on pretty much anything you do. And then more complex stuff, it can take like a couple minutes. But if it saves us a couple of hours, it's well worth the wait. So while it's drafting this presentation, yeah, so it starts giving you the outline, it drafts it up. So while we're waiting on that, I'll just cover the practical tips on Microsoft Copilot for PowerPoint. So you can actually use Copilot to create and design presentations from scratch, or from a Word document. So from scratch, you could literally say like, hey, I'm creating a sales presentation. Can you use my brand assets to create a good looking PowerPoint for the sales presentation I'm about to give? You can have it generate slides, titles, captions. One thing I've really liked so far is you can say, hey, I want you to add animations on every slide. That was always a pain in the butt, because you got to know, okay, what am I animating? How am I going to animating it? The designer doesn't do that for me. Copilot will go in and add animations for you. Like that alone is going to save you 30 minutes worth of time, and it just does it automatically. And it almost always, from what I've seen, adds a really good one. use Microsoft to add images, charts, and diagrams. This is something that CoPilot said it could do, but I've yet to see it be able to do that. So, I mean, it adds it in the initial prompt, like what we're about to see, but then like making adjustments, I've yet to see that. But again, y'all can play around with it. All right, moving on. So now here we have 11 slides of Microsoft Copilot. It's covered the agenda, which we went over. You know, what is Microsoft Copilot? Thoughts, and here's the practicals and conclusions, and I've included resources for you. The overview, which is pretty similar. What is Microsoft Copilot? What we've already covered. General thoughts, which we've already covered. And I like how it's, you know, paint on canvas. You know, it picked up on that and created an image here. You know, we're covering Microsoft Copilot for PowerPoint right now. And it absolutely has created this wonderful presentation. I can say, hey, can you add an animation to this slide? Oops. I should have had like an elevator music button. Okay, cool. So that one was pretty quick. So there we go. So now that was pretty quick and easy. So we can say, I want to present from current slide. We can kind of see what that animation looks like. Very nice, right? Simple animation, title first, and then the rest of the content. So when it comes to PowerPoint with Copilot, it's actually not that complicated. It will take Word documents and it'll create a PowerPoint for you. And then again, it's just paint on canvas. You're going to want to tweak it. You're going to want to change some of the content. You're going to maybe want to go to the designer. And now, if you don't know what designer is, let me show you that. So right next to Copilot's designer, you can say, okay, yeah, I actually want it to look like this instead of that. So designer paired with Copilot makes PowerPoints so much easier. Awesome. So I hope that was helpful in understanding how you can use Copilot with PowerPoint. There's obviously so much more, but we have a couple different applications to cover, and I want to make sure for the sake of time, we keep moving. So, and again, we'll have a Q&A section at the end of this. So let's move on. All right. So next up is Microsoft Copilot for Excel. Now, I am not a numbers guy. I'm a marketing guy, and I really have always been scared away from numbers. I'm kind of dumb. No, I'm just kidding. But the cool thing is Copilot has made me more confident with numbers. And I'm going to show you exactly why here in a second. All right, cool. Thank you, Sharon. You're so sweet. I don't know who you are, but I like you. Thank you. All right, moving on. Let's see. I'm going to share my whole screen here because I'm going to be moving around a couple different places. All right, cool. So we're going to open, actually, before we open Excel, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So what can Copilot do with Excel? I think for any of you quants out there, like this is going to make your job so much better, especially if you've already been using ChatGPT to help you with these things. Now it's right here. It's within your Excel. Like this truly, again, I'm not a numbers person, so I don't even think I truly see the value like you might here in just a second. This is insane. So let's just go ahead and cover some of the primary things, and then we'll get into an example. So it works with formulas. It can help you find the formula you need. It can create formulas for you. It can do all that good stuff. It can generate tables, charts, and graphs. It can perform calculations, analysis, and predictions. It's awesome. And I was thinking, like, I'm so bad at Excel, like, I wouldn't even know what test, like, how to even show it. Well, guess what? When you go to Copilot, like I mentioned, it says, hey, let me just turn this on real quick. It says, hey, do you want to try an example? Like, absolutely. That's exactly what I was looking for, Copilot. Thank you. Like now the stress of creating this whole webinar and presentation just like lowered because Copilot has been with me every step of the way. All right, cool. So literally now, again, there's a bunch of stuff here and I'm like, oh gosh, what do I do? Well, so I can say, Hello. How much budget do we use for digital marketing? And it starts doing its thing again. That always kind of takes some time. If it can we can try some VLOOKUPs. I haven't done that since quantitative analysis in graduate school, and I still have PTSD from it. All right. So it says, oh, the total budget used for digital marketing is $8,600. Here's a pivot table I created to get the answer. And so I guess we can just copy the pivot table. Oh, there we go. Add to a new sheet. So I think this is the pivot table. Yeah. So I think it shows the formula, and then it gives you the sum. Which again, I mean, that's a simple example, but you can say, I need a formula, or can you have a combined column of, I don't even know, budget and revenue? I'm not sure if that makes sense. Does anyone have any good like Excel questions they want to ask CoPilot while we're all on the call together? There will be a recording. Does anyone have a good question you'd like to ask CoPilot with Excel? I had a lot of good examples, but now, okay. So you can insert, you know, combine columns. You can say, hey, can you show me data insights? Oh, this is a really good one. And while we're waiting on it, I apologize for playing a video, but this video was produced by Microsoft, and I can't do better than this. So here we go. I want everyone to watch this, especially if you're into Excel.
CoPilot in Excel helps you make sense of all your data. Say you need to analyze this quarter's sales results. You start by asking CoPilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. But you want to drill in. You ask CoPilot a follow-up question about one of the trends. CoPilot creates a new sheet, giving you a sandbox to play in and helping you better understand what's happening. You ask CoPilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. CoPilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now you want to dig deeper and ask a follow-up question with a what-if scenario. CoPilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model and even asks if you want to learn more about what it did with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. CoPilot in Excel turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
So that's okay. There's a lot of questions here. Can it transpose your rows and columns for you? All right, let's pause on these. These are really great questions, but we'll cover it at the end so I can keep going because I don't even know what a lot of that means. But seeing that video, like if you're into Excel and you use this a lot, just seeing the power of that is kind of mind-boggling. And that's why we get back to ChatGPT versus Copilot. It's like, well, Copilot is $400 or $500. Why would I buy it versus using ChatGPT? And this is a perfect example. It incorporates it into the product and it works with you. I mean, what that 1-minute video just showed me is insane. Like that would have taken so much more time for someone to do, and it just spits it out for you. It's truly like having an assistant. All right. Yeah, the video, for anyone wondering, don't worry. This whole video will be on the YouTube channels of whatever IT company invited you. So it'll be up within 48 hours. So there'll be plenty to review afterwards. So, all right, let's move on. So that's Excel. Again, we're covering Surface because there's a lot to cover, but that's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. I already know. Word is probably one of the places where Excel shines the most. It's like, again, it just wrote that whole outline for me. You can have it say, hey, I need this to be formatted in a certain ABA ruling, or I need to combine these two documents to create a proposal. Or if you have an entire document, such as a presentation or such as a write-up that you've received from a client, etc., you can say, Copilot, would you summarize this for me so I understand what I'm seeing here? So there's just an insane amount of value when it comes to Word. I think there's so much to show that I really wasn't going to jump too much into Word. But just like Excel, I can format tables, images, charts. Yeah, it's super impressive what it can do with Word. I do have another video. I'm sorry to just show Microsoft videos, but like, they do such an amazing job of showing the value very quickly. So I want to play this video again real quick. Did everybody hear the last video? Did everybody hear the video when I played it? Probably. All right. Probably yes. If not, people would have said they couldn't hear it. So I'm going to play this real quick. All right. So here's an example.
65 can help you unleash creativity at work. Imagine you need to create a rock-solid proposal to win the business, and you don't have time for writer's block. You can use CoPilot to draft a proposal based on your customer notes in OneNote, as well as another internal document. CoPilot scans the target files and gets to work, quickly generating a first draft with all the key details from the files you provided. Now, let's say you want this to look like your previous proposals. CoPilot can give you a draft in the format you typically use. It inserts product images and pulls in relevant visuals from other files. You can include a short summary at the top of the document. And CoPilot can make suggestions to strengthen the proposal, like adding an FAQ, which it will generate for you to refine.
And notice how she said to generate for you to refine. And I think that is something, as we move more into the AI age, is paint on canvas. We're going to have to put our personal touch on it. We're going to have to put our personality on it. We're going to have to make adjustments. But if it can save us hours of work, we get more done in less time. I mean, this is truly going to be probably the greatest productivity boost in like a century or something, because it really does save time and make people have the ability to do more. And when we look at a price of something like Copilot, I was thinking like, man, I'm about to spend $400 on this thing. I'm like, that's a lot of money, but let's just do it. And I only needed to save about 6 to 7 hours worth of time, and it's paid for itself based on the ROI. Like, how much is my hourly? Like, how many hours did I save? And just on preparing this webinar, it's helped me so much. I think we're already at 50% ROI in a week, right? So that's the best way to think about tools like this. It's like, is it actually going to unlock efficiency in my workplace? And if it's 5% and I can extrapolate that over 20 people, there's a massive ROI on that. And maybe not. Maybe buy a tool. And as we know with tools, sometimes they sit on a shelf, right? So much of it is going to be habit forming. Are we getting in the habit of using Copilot and ChatGPT as we're working? And that will really dictate its efficiency. All right, cool. Moving on here. And again, we'll have Q&A. We'll kind of open it up and see how things are going. All right, cool. Doing good on time. That's great. All right, so next one is kind of Outlook. Wanted to cover this real quick. I don't think Outlook has the most value, to be honest. And I really spent some time in Outlook with Copilot, and I just don't use it, if I'm being honest. Like Copilot for Outlook is like, I feel like they just wanted to kind of pop it in there since they have it. The only like true value I've seen out of it is summarizing email threads. Like, I think that is super cool. So like, we went to, I forget which one. I think it was like, someone like it was Jerry. So I guess I'll kind of more explain this one. If you go to CoPilot on, I don't have a lot of emails, but let's just say this one, and you hit CoPilot, you can summarize, you can ask it questions like, how many times have I emailed Ricardo this week? Summarize, a document that was sent to me, etc. So it just hasn't been that helpful, to be honest. I would say the only thing that is pretty high value would be you get an email thread with just a ton of back and forth and you were copied on it, which happens all the time. And you can say, hey, CoPilot, I need you to summarize this for me into like a paragraph. And it does a wonderful job of skimming sometimes 20, 30 emails in that thread and then sending you a good summary. So that I think is the most valuable thing I've seen in Outlook. And I've watched a lot of different videos, even Microsoft's is 20 seconds. So I'm not even playing that one because even they're like, yeah, I can summarize stuff for you. So just wanted to cover that. But hey, if you're somebody that's in a lot of email threads, I am not, this might be massively valuable to you. Instead of going like, oh, who did I email? Is someone waiting on my reply? Did I, where is that one file someone sent me the other day? CoPilot will just find that for you rather than even having to use the search function. I think that's the best way to describe CoPilot in Outlook is like, you don't have to use really the search function anymore. Like it can kind of replace that in a real good way. And for anybody that uses Outlook, that the search function honestly wasn't that good. So CoPilot really, really helps overall with Outlook in these specific circumstances. Whereas Word and Excel and PowerPoint, there's literally so much that it's like, well, what do we even cover? All right, cool. Moving on. All right. So coming to conclusions before I kind of cover some resources and then we open to general discussion. Microsoft Copilot is obviously a really powerful tool. And I think the important thing is not that it's a powerful tool, it's that it's a practical tool. It is not another fancy tool that's being pitched to us that we're going to buy and it's going to sit on a shelf. As long as we form good habits of getting paint on canvas on pretty much everything we work on, it really will save a lot of time and make you more effective at your job, no matter what the role is. I've got marketing people, I've got administrative assistants, I've got a lot of people. We're all using either ChatGPT 4 or Copilot, and I've seen a measurable impact in productivity since we started rolling it out. So obviously not a sales pitch because it's not like we're really selling Copilot, but any of the IT providers that have invited you here can absolutely help you to acquire Copilot and get it rolled out for you. But yeah, I love it. I know this was a little shorter than expected. I hope some of this has been helpful and valuable. The recording will be up and we are going to roll to Q&A. All right. I'm going to bring everybody else in and then let's roll to Q&A. Hey, y'all. All right. How did I do? Is that too quick?
No, I think it was a good overview, Shane. Or
All right.
Tyler, I think it was a good overview.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, getting into super specifics could take all day. So I kind of just want to give everyone an overview.
I will tell you one place where I've used Copilot in Outlook. I do quite a bit of email templates and to create the template and move it around within Outlook and then be able to pull it back. It can be quite tedious when you have a lot of templates built in there for emails. So Copilot actually automates all of that for you, which saves me a ton of time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Peter's saying, will there be a follow-up session on environment preparation before rollout Copilot? Honestly, there's, I mean, when it comes to preparation, it could be, staff communication. But when it comes to rollout from a technical perspective, it's actually just purchasing the licensing, applying the licensing, have everyone log out and log back in, and it's there. So the good thing is it's not complicated on rollout, at least from my experience on one user. But yeah, client preparation, or excuse me, in your user preparation is going to be very important. Explaining what it is, how to use it, showing them this video, and really making sure they're going to use it versus paying $400 a user for it to sit on a shelf. So I would say that's probably most of the preparation that is going to be needed, at least from my perspective so far. Have you heard if CoPilot will eventually be able to look at your calendar and do things like give you reminders? Like of things coming up, maybe? Like, let me see. Do you have the ability to, oh wait, I'm not sharing my screen. Well, I'll just ask CoPilot to look at my calendar and give me additional reminders when events are coming up. So that's the cool thing is we can kind of just ask ChatGPT and it'll let us know like what its capabilities are, which I like. Someone's got some scratchiness going on in their audio. All right, so let's see what it said. Okay. All right. Well, it has looked through my calendar and it is a lot of stuff here. I'm not able to directly access your calendar or provide reminders for upcoming events. However, I can provide you a list of your upcoming events. Here are some upcoming events. So what's the purpose of the internal marketing meeting? Ooh. I don't think we have anything on that meeting, so I couldn't imagine it would be able to come up with much, but it's worth a shot. Okay, it shows who's on it. Is there anything else? So, it can be helpful, especially with things that you're added to, which there is more context to. It could really be helpful there as well. All right. Heather asks, is if anyone using it for OneDrive? I am not. Has anybody here used it for OneDrive? Yeah, I don't think so, but it's one of those things that, taking some time watching a couple of videos and it can really help with pretty much any application. All right, Brian. We are currently piloting ChatGPT for Teams. Cool. We're a small business, so we do not have enterprise version, greater than 100 employees. One of the issues we have noticed is that any current user can invite other users. So there's no control security on limiting users. Have you seen any issue with that on CoPilot? No, definitely no issues with that on CoPilot because CoPilot has to be purchased by your admin, your IT admin, and if that's you, or if you have an IT team like Global Quest or GDS or Data Magic or Alltech or anyone else, Data Magic, then it has to be purchased and then assigned to a user. So yeah, it wouldn't run up a bill or anything like that. And yeah, CoPilot does integrate within Teams as well. That's another one that was a little bit outside of the scope of this webinar. But yeah, totally. That would not be a problem. And even though it's, around $400, it pays for the year. So it's not like it's $400 a month or anything like that. It's about $30 a month per user. They just make you pay annually. All right. Great questions. It's always good to get questions. Sometimes you do a webinar and there's no questions. And it's like, okay, everyone's asleep. All right. And yeah, there will be the video link on everyone's YouTube. Let's see, we got some really good question. Can Excel insert the formula? Oh, okay. Samantha asks, can ChatGPT calculate what % of budget is digital marketing? Yeah. So let me show that. So if we jump back into Excel, we say, hey, hello. I'm the guy that after AI sends me an answer, I'll say like, thanks, exclamation point. But anyway, so hello, can you let me know? Oh my goodness. I need CoPilot to silence all of my messages. Can you let me know what percentage of our budget is digital marketing? And so it'll be thinking. And as it's thinking, I'm going to kind of go back and see what other questions we have here. Yeah, Harry, I just asked CoPilot to give me a test. Okay, cool. Desiree, I'll ask if it can do VLOOKUPs right after this. All right, cool. So here we go. Looks like digital marketing makes up 47.42 of our total budget, which is amazing. So instead of having to do a formula to identify, CoPilot can literally just look at your document. And again, this is a super simple spreadsheet, but it's the same with a long one. Obviously, it takes a little more time, but this can be super valuable for these longer assets. And obviously, it gives some other ones, total engaged over launch date. What is the most common campaign owner? Percentage of total engaged users that come from campaign type. So it gives you these different suggestions that might be helpful. You can also have it analyze the data for you. Would you have the ability to work with VLOOKUPs? Let's see what it says. Sharon asks, is there a nonprofit price? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to assume yes, but because, especially through TechSoup, there's lots of nonprofit pricing, but it is so new. Like it just rolled out a couple months ago. They may not yet, but I can absolutely find that out for you. Yes, I can work with VLOOKUPs. Well, Desiree, there you go. You just got your new assistant. Allows you to search for value, and that's what VLOOKUPs are. So it can help with VLOOKUPs. Again, I think this is really going to be a game changer when it comes to PowerPoint, Excel, and Word for sure. Awesome. Can CoPilot find answers from data to which the users wouldn't have access to the SharePoint? That is a really great question, Janelle. I don't believe so, because SharePoints are locked by members. Obviously, with SharePoint being cloud, we take that security very seriously. So if there's sensitive information on that SharePoint file that a user is not in that SharePoint, it wouldn't be able to pull that data from their tenant. So that's good. I mean, Microsoft's always done a very good job when it comes to security, and this is no exception. All right. Does anybody, all right, here's a little exercise real quick. Wow, we still have a lot of people on the call, which I appreciate you guys not bailing on me. Can somebody put in here what they're excited to use CoPilot for? Like, can someone say like, okay, this is something I do, maybe something I did cover or didn't cover. Like, this is something I do that I know CoPilot's going to be able to help me with. Can anybody, if you have something, just throw it in here just so we can kind of see what are some other examples. Yeah, of course, Janelle. Apparently, Desiree is now going to leave her husband and go to CoPilot, which, you know what? It's just going to have to happen. I mean, can your husband do VLOOKUPs? Something you got to think about. Analysis of financials, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone going to make some awesome PowerPoints?
I'm wondering if the features for Outlook, I know that you said that there's not a lot there, but it feels like I'm searching for emails.
Yeah.
quite often. I wonder if it helps with searching.
It totally does. Yep. You could say, hey, I need to find this email that I was talking to about this person that had a file. Can you give me those? And it will give you those. I actually tried that this morning.
That and looking through photos on my phone. I hate that.
Yeah. I have some great ChatGPT examples of helping write emails, letters, recommendations, and I would think that CoPilot would do that as well. Absolutely. So Heather, 100%. CoPilot is, again, it is literally the integration of ChatGPT 4 within Microsoft. So it does everything that ChatGPT does, but then it integrates into the Office suite. So yeah, 100%. If there's something you get out of ChatGPT 4, you would get it out of CoPilot, but then also be able to integrate it into your Word document without having to copy and paste and without having to give it context of the Word document you've been working on because it has it right there. So yeah, I think there was, before I started this exercise, I was like, well, what is the value? I mean, it seems like it's just a ChatGPT wrapper, but then now, like when I'm working in it, it's like, hey, did you want to combine these files and these files? Were you referencing that file that you were just working on 10 minutes ago? Like it really does a phenomenal job of integrating within all the stuff you're working on, like Microsoft always does. Like anyone that's using Microsoft 365, you know that when you have a document you're working on with SharePoint and you share it in Teams and somebody updates it, it updates it in real time on the SharePoint. Like it's the integration of all of the products within Microsoft is just absolutely phenomenal. And if you're still, well, I guess no hard recommendations there, but it's great. All right. Any other things that you guys are excited to use CoPilot for? Anything at all? Would love to hear any other kind of feedback from us here or anybody commenting before we kind of wrap up today. Mike, you mentioned a really good one before the call on like a Facebook ad or marketplace.
That was actually me. Yeah, I've used it to simplify that integration, that you normally do with ChatGPT, and did a Facebook ad for something personal, and just ran it through CoPilot, and it was nice not have to put it in ChatGPT and then bring it back to Microsoft and then reformat it and then put it up on Facebook. It saved a bunch of steps, and it's great. The whole map. I mean, the entire ad was done in probably 5 seconds.
Totally. Tamara said she's, as a recruiter, having to rewrite job description, job titles. Absolutely. 100%. And you're right there in Word. You can say, hey, this is the job description we have right now. Can you please update this to include our new core values or a different job title with a description, blah, and 100%. That's perfect use case. Sharon said she's used ChatGPT to edit a 141-page book. Oh my gosh, that she typed up. So I would look for CoPilot to edit this book as I typed in Word. Think this will do it? Absolutely, Sharon. Absolutely. Yep. Again, in anything that ChatGPT that you're doing, this should have no problem doing as well, because it's basically a wrapper. Does it work with Power App? It does. Janelle, it does work with Power App. In fact, if you ask CoPilot, like, what is your purpose? It's like, I help developers and coders and Power Apps and Power BI and all that. And it's like, okay, what about like the non-coders? And then you have to so it's like kind of built for those more complex Power BI, Power Automate, all that good stuff. And it's apparently amazing at that. But given that this wasn't really a highly technical overview of CoPilot, we didn't cover that. But yes, Janelle, long answer for sure. Who can tell me if it will help with automation in Excel programming? Microsoft script. I'll tell you who can tell you. So the other, if you don't want to use,
feels like the Willy Wonka. You know what I'm going to tell the computer?
I don't remember that. Oh no.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So if you don't want
screen, you got to share your screen.
Okay. If you don't want to use the sorry, let me share my screen real quick. All right, so if you don't want to use CoPilot within all the products and you kind of just want to use it as like ChatGPT, well, when you go to your main Office section, you can just hit Copilot. And so now it just turns into what you're used to seeing when it comes to ChatGPT. So my computer is running a little slow. Sorry, guys. All right, so now we're up. And so I'm going to kind of just copy. Can I not copy it? Who can tell if it will help with automation in Excel programming, Microsoft script? Hello, Copilot. Can you help with, I already forgot. Can you help with automation in Excel? Programming Microsoft script. Let's see what it says. Happy to help with Excel automation using Microsoft Script. It looks like you recently organized a Microsoft Copilot training session, which might have covered some aspects of automation. If you have specific tasks or processes you're looking to automate, could you provide more details? This will help me tailor the guidance to your needs. Well, any specifics, Don, that we could ask Mr. Copilot here? But overall, it does look like it can help. I mean, there's people that are using it a lot in automation and programming, and it does apparently a really good job at that. So, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for KPIs. I mean, that kind of goes along the same theme as the job descriptions for posting ads, but and marketing. You know, I'm sure you guys are using it a great deal over there, Tyler, but it's got to be helping with content.
Totally. Yeah, we're using it a lot. We're using so many AI tools right now. It's kind of crazy. There's one called opus.clips where it'll take a 30-minute webinar like this or an hour-long webinar like this, and it'll break it up into a bunch of 1-2 minute clips, which used to take hours for us to go through, find the best content, pull it out. Opus Clips just does that. So yeah, it's very cool. I think since we still have people on the call, which I love, I think one thing to think about is AI, I don't think is scary, right? I think there's just this general pessimism around AI. In the 80s, we talked about, there's literally like a very popular news that I was talking about how like basically the advent of the computer is going to just crush jobs. It's like every time a historic technology has come out, there's been a massive amount of negativity. But really, this is probably going to be one of the one of the biggest unlocks when it comes to productivity that is like, we may have ever seen. And I think a lot of technologies, they get overestimated in the short term and then underestimated in the long term. And I think this is definitely one of those. And I'm not just talking about Copilot, just in general, the move to these large language models. We even look at Tesla. Tesla used to do full self-driving based on just a ton of code, like hundreds of thousands of code. And their most recent iteration was just a massive large language model that just trained it on good Uber drivers. And so now these machines can see what does good driving look like and replicate that. That's exactly kind of what has happened with OpenAI. They take, hey, here's trillions worth of data on large language, and now it can write and help, which is just so crazy. So long story short is AI is a tool that we really all need to be getting comfortable with in some way, because for businesses that unlock it and use it a lot, you're absolutely going to get ahead of the competition that is not. That's just a fact. It's just the reality. It saves a bunch of time. It makes work better. So we just got to get comfortable with it, whether we like it or not. Awesome. Anything else? Any points that any of the hosts have on how you guys have used it, or any thoughts at all? Any other questions from members? All right, I'll probably give it like another 30 seconds and then we'll kind of start conclusion. All right. Awesome. Well, everyone, I really, really appreciate it. I hope that was helpful and not too high level. But again, you know, you might need to just get it and start playing with it. But really appreciate you jumping on the call. Again, joint venture between Data Magic, Global Quest, Global Data Systems, and All Tech Services. If y'all want to see the recording, just follow the YouTube channel of the IT company that invited you. Is there going to be a boot camp to better get in deeper understanding of CoPilot? We absolutely can do that. Yeah, we can do a more deep dive, like in a CoPilot Advanced, and we'll just do like specific applications and just spend 30 minutes on that specific application. Maybe we'll like do 1 or 2 per webinar. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. Really appreciate that suggestion, Reen. Cool. Well, really appreciate y'all. Really hope that was helpful. If y'all need anything, just reach out to the individuals that have invited you, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Check out the webinar pages again on the IT company that invited you, and we have a lot coming up in the future. So appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, and I hope y'all have an amazing day. Bye.
Thanks, Tahir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tahir.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome.